Welcome to the Backyard Bourbon Broadcast. In this episode, Jeremy talks about teaching your kids how to drive, the Neat documentary, and he reviews a very tasty rye from Ragged Branch Distillery in Charlottesville, Virginia. This is episode 36 of the Backyard Bourbon Broadcast. Hey there, friends, Romans, countrymen, and most importantly, my fellow backyardigans. How y'all are? I know, it's been a long time since my last podcast, probably 3 weeks or more, but college football's back on. We're on week 2 already of college football. Sorry that I haven't been on, not that anyone noticed. My real job is at a university, and I'm also putting myself through school part-time, and if you've ever gone to school ever, you know that the beginning of the academic year is brutally busy, and I've been working harder than an ugly stripper, folks. It's absolutely crazy how it seems every year we forget how to do things. Like, oh wait, we have to go back and do school again this year? Really? At any rate, working full-time, going to school part-time, also being a husband and a father, and teaching my 15-year-old how to drive. All of these things are really cutting into my bourbon drinking and my podcasting time. So, sorry. Speaking of teaching your kids how to drive, anyone else gone through this? I don't know if your situation is similar to mine, but here's how it's worked at our house. My wife is normally the patient person in the relationship. I'm impatient, hot-tempered, bad-mannered, poorly raised, etc., etc., etc. The list goes on and on. But when it comes to teaching our girls how to drive, for some reason, I'm the more patient one. Totally out of character for both of us. But here's what it is. My wife is a perfectionist. How she ever ended up with me, let's just say she saw in me a lifetime project that would constantly keep her busy. The problem is, when you're teaching someone to do something for the first time, you can't be a perfectionist. In fact, you have to endure endless imperfections and mistakes, and then celebrate the smallest milestones. There's no way you can expect perfection when you're teaching your kids how to drive. How can you? They've never done it before. So in our house, we let mom stay home, relax, maybe have a strong beverage while dad takes his girls out in the van for a drive around the neighborhood. It's working great. And my oldest is really building her confidence. She's getting better every day, and that's what it's all about, folks. Now, if somebody could just teach the other 50,000 drivers in this town how to get out in the intersection when they're attempting a left turn. Oh, jeepers creepers, folks. I lose my salvation at 5 o'clock every weekday. It's ridiculous. It's not that scary, folks. Get out there in the intersection so this town doesn't grind to a halt. Okay. Let's move past that. Let's talk about something else. This show is totally jumbled, and let's just keep that going. The Neat documentary I think it's on Netflix. It might be on Hulu at this point. I don't know. That is a really, really cool documentary. And some of the things I picked out watching it for the second time, the white oak barrels. Obviously, bourbon has to be made with new white oak barrels, and white oak tree will grow for 70 to 100 years. Its roots absorb the taste and the flavors and minerals and whatever grows next to that tree. And then when it's made into barrels, it is combined with other staves to make the barrel, and they all combine to add to the taste of the bourbon. Now, this is common knowledge for bourbon enthusiasts, but isn't it impressive that no other place on the planet discovered this method of distillation? I mean, we're talking about true American spirit. The true American spirit, bourbon. It could have been invented anywhere, really. You know, there's really nothing unique other than the fact we came up with it. And I'm taking credit for others' hard work, but we came up with it. It could have been invented anywhere, and it happened here less than 300 years ago. Other places have white oak trees. Other countries have distillation methods and spirits. But the good Lord waited for the good old US of A to come along before he allowed the discovery of that brownest of brown liquors to come to fruition. Praise be. Also, the Neat documentary noted that 50% to 70% of the taste of the bourbon comes from the barrel. At least half. That's amazing. So we're tasting corn, and we're tasting tree, and it is a sweet liquid beverage. You know what's also amazing? One barrel weighs 550 pounds when full of whiskey. And also, this is really getting in the weeds. Is anyone a fan of Dan Tyminski? Anyone know who he is? He's a Nashville recording artist, just came out with Southern Gothic, his new album, and it is incredible, by the way. He plays guitar. I think he still plays guitar with Alison Krauss, but has in the past. Sang the theme song to Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? The Man of Constant Sorrow song. If you've ever seen his Facebook or Twitter page, he often does an update in front of a bar, and that bar is stacked with all the bourbon. And that same bar is in this documentary. This kid has his own speakeasy in his basement. It is the very same one, I guarantee. It's got a fork and a spoon on what would be Dan's left side. It's the right side in the video. But it's the same G.H. Taylors and Michter's, and he's got Jim and Jack, and he's got literally all the bourbon in the back. And I thought that was his own basement, but that is the basement of the kid that has the speakeasy. So I want to know what's the relationship there. Is that his kid, or is that some friend of his, or he just travels around and goes, hey, I want to record in front of a speakeasy, and he's just doing like Facebook updates. But I really want to know. So if anyone has the answer to that, I would love to know that. Okay. Let's get to some whiskey. Today we're reviewing, like I said, Ragged Branch. They sent me a rye in a sample bottle, and I've admitted before, I'm a newcomer to rye, so I haven't had very many. I had the Riptide rye that the folks at Cali Distillery sent me. I've had this rye, Ragged Branch. I had a few sips of it just to sample it before this show. So I'm a newcomer to ryes. My rye opinions are probably worth even less than my straight bourbon opinions, but I'm doing my homework, folks. I really like ryes. And the good folks at Ragged Branch sent me this sample months ago. I'm finally getting to it. They've been extremely patient. So here's what I've decided to do. I'm going to compare this sample to what many folks say is one of the best ryes out there. It's the Rittenhouse 100 proof straight rye whiskey bottled in bond. Okay, not a very fair challenge for the folks at Ragged Branch, I admit, but I think they'll stack up. I've snuck I've snuck a couple sips from this sample, and it's probably going to do just fine. So about Ragged Branch, they're relatively new, founded in 2010, located outside Charlottesville, Virginia. At this point, they only have two products. They've got this rye, and they've got a wheated bourbon. So let's get to it. This rye. Very strong caramel smell right off the bat. It's 90 proof. So it's going to be a little less strong as the Rittenhouse. Very delicious notes of vanilla right off the bat. And a subtle finish. It doesn't bite you. This is really good. Man, it's very tasty. Oh, that is very tasty. Very tasty stuff. Like I said, I'm going to compare it to the Rittenhouse. I've got to open that up. So give me just a second while I do that and clear my palate. But let's see what do we have here. Rittenhouse on the nose is not as strong smelling as it was from the Ragged Branch. Oh, that's a wonderful sound, isn't it? I felt like Mr. Rogers right there. Isn't it, children? Isn't that a wonderful sound, children? Yeah, okay, so I'm going to clear my palate here. On the nose, the Rittenhouse does not come off as strong. open up the Ragged Branch bottle again, just so I'm being accurate. Oh yeah, oh man, Ragged Branch is really wonderful on the nose. Still get a slight corn aroma. Man, okay, that's interesting. I would have thought at the higher proof the Rittenhouse would have come on stronger, but let's see what we got taste wise. Totally different. Not as much vanilla. This is a straight rye. Rittenhouse straight rye whiskey, storied Pennsylvania style rye. Okay, so we're maybe different styled ryes here, whose heritage commemorates Philadelphia's famous Rittenhouse Square. Still bottled and bond under U.S. government supervision to meet the strictest requirements, the Rittenhouse you enjoy today carries forth the distinct and spicy flavor profile established long ago. So yeah, it is a little more spicy, not as much, I'm guessing it's the rye that is so sweet in the Ragged Branch. Yeah, more rye, stronger caramel taste to it. The Ragged Branch had a very strong vanilla. Hang on, let me clean my palate one more time. Wow. Okay. The Ragged Branch. Folks, whatever you're doing, keep it up. Ragged Branch is some good stuff. Okay, and not knocking the Rittenhouse at all. I mean, this is not a fair competition. It's clearly not even straight across the board. I probably should have got like a... I don't know. I don't know. Forget that. I got what I got. It's all for the purposes of research, right, folks? Rittenhouse, made by Heaven Hill, won an excellent / highly recommended award in the Ultimate Spirits competition back in 2014. Same year, got a double gold in the WSWA tasting competition. Never had the Rittenhouse, never had the Ragged Branch, so this is a good excuse to compare them. It's a good excuse for me to buy the Rittenhouse for research purposes, of course. This is like an unknown college playing Alabama or Texas A&M or something. A real David versus Goliath here, but this is why we play the games, folks. Actually, we're just trying to see how the Ragged Branch stands up, and I honestly, if this was a blind taste test, I would take the Ragged Branch. No question. I really like the taste of their rye bourbon. That is really good. Very good. Rittenhouse, you're doing everything right too, so not knocking either one of you. So, okay. That'll about do it for today's show, folks. Hey, short and sweet and to the point, right? I hope you enjoyed this episode. Very special thanks goes out to the good folks at Ragged Branch in Charlottesville, Virginia, and their very tasty Virginia Straight Bourbon Rye. Yet another great rye for this show, as always. Also like to thank the Jingle Punks for the music we enjoy and use in our intro. You can find their free free music on the YouTube audio library. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter. I put a lot of beautiful pictures I take for each podcast on there, and I've done so with both the Rittenhouse and the Ragged Branch Rye. I think you'll enjoy them. Well, that's it. God bless, and drive safe out there, people. We got a whole new batch of drivers coming out every day, and we're going to need all the help we can get. Also, get your pet spayed or neutered, post no bills, all rights reserved, cash only, no refills. Signing here is not an admission of guilt. Pedestrians have the right of way. I'm out of order, you're out of order, this whole court's out of order. Oh, sure. Loading and unloading passengers only. Do not pass go. Do not collect no $200.